When you have this stuff and you pay $299, I call it a glorified hosting fee because they're not doing anything.
Because you're not paying them enough to do anything.
You're not paying them enough to do anything. They're not doing anything, and they don't need one thing. Because when a client looks at it, it's so one-dimensional. If most people, let me say this for the sake of saying this, 90% of people that call up here do not try to dictate what we're going to do in services.
Yeah. This isn't going out to most
when
people.
the client calls, potential client calls, and begins to dictate services, their chances of success are almost
become very low. Very low.
When they hear what needs to be done and what goes on, well, I'm not letting you have my website. I like it.
I paid a lot of money.
I paid a lot of money for it.
Your website is not a piece of real estate. It does not appreciate in value. It depreciates in value worse than a car. The minute you bought it, it's already out of date. So just be prepared to replace it. Yeah. You're better off not being attached to it.
And why do you care if it doesn't optimize or do anything for the company anyway?
Right.
Especially when we don't charge to get somebody started. Hey there guys, it's Nolan and Jason here. Today we're going to talk about what we actually do versus what a client wants us to do or thinks we should do. So this is an interesting topic.
This is an interesting topic.
Because
this is a be very careful topic.
It is a be very careful topic, but it's worth going into because a guy called me the other day and said, contractor called and said, well, Nolan, I don't like all these big, huge, wordy sites. I've got a one-pager because it's simple, and I just want you to get on there and SEO it. And so
SEO is not a verb.
Yeah, so I go on and essentially, there's a lot of different things that a client thinks what they should do. And I guess the first thing, and it is a careful topic because we're not trying to be rude to potential clients by any means.
Or current clients or whatever.
Current clients or anything like that. And this isn't a bash on clients for any reason whatsoever. It's just that if somebody's looking around, to me the frame of reference should be that they are looking for professional services, and one should be open-minded to what those people may know in order to better themselves on the internet. Right. And I guess for the most part now, since I always say we're a full digital marketing agency, which we are, and we do AdWords management and social media management ads and stuff like that. But this is, for the purpose of this conversation, we're going to talk about organic optimization for contractors. And most people think that we might need a new design, or I'll have people call wanting to piecemeal work, like, hey, get me a design, or get me
some content marketing.
Content. Can y'all do my content? I need to do this and that. And I'm like, well, if you did content and the design and the code paste was poor, do you think Google would like it as much as if all that was done together?
Right.
And then what about your Google account and citations and domain authority, the link structuring, and
the 1,000 moving parts that go into SEO.
Yeah, so when we onboard a client here, guys, it's like there's hundreds of things in our proprietary program that we use to do for the client that then in turn get graded by the search engine.
Right.
So if a client wants us to do a certain preset amount of stuff, do they have the ability to dictate the terms of the service and have themselves show up in search rankings? Probably not.
Right.
Probably
they're
not.
the client, and ultimately, if they're paying, they can have their way, but they're not going to get the results they want. And we generally won't enter into a relationship like that because we've been set up for failure.
Yeah.
We can't keep that
client. If we got set up for failure, then we don't. The way that we onboard clients typically is to get a first month and start. So there's essentially no money down.
Right.
And it's on a month to month. And so if somebody calls up and says, do this or do that, or what if somebody says, well, I guess we'll keep going. Hang on, I'll put a few different things down and then we'll talk about that in a minute. But if somebody says, well, I just want to show up on mapping, or I just want to show up on this keyword term.
The J word.
Yeah, the J word. It's really, because it is someone basically coming in and saying, I am ignoring the fact that you're a professional service, and even though I'm not the professional in this, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do, boy. and then you're going to get me up in search ranking.
Right.
So it's not just that someone said, I'm going to pay you well to do this. You're going to do it my way, and then you're going to have me show up.
Right.
Which is a really poor premise to start from with the client. Because
Right.
the client, at the end of the day, even though we just did a video about it, we're respectful of every single client.
Right.
But by no means, if you were defending yourself on, some sort of hardcore legal case, you don't go in and say, "Come here, let me tell you exactly how you're going to defend me and what you're going to do when you get
No,
up
you
there."
listen to your lawyer.
You listen to the professional you hired.
Right.
And so,
and sometimes people are coming at this. Sometimes they're coming at it because they have control issues, and sometimes they're trying to save money. They've tried to narrow down to
Maybe.
the one thing they think, the thing they think they can get away with, the one thing they think they absolutely need, and they're hoping they can just do that and not anything else.
yeah. So I mean,
But it doesn't work that way,
Does
unfortunately.
content alone get you up in search rankings nowadays?
No.
I mean, content. Listen, we should know, right? We should know. Now, I mean, you need every other thing combined
Right.
with it. Does reviews alone raise a map placement?
Nope.
No. Well,
It's one factor.
You can go check this yourself. Why do so many contractors with lots of reviews not show up in the top 3? Because they're missing hundreds of details. I always tell people when they call, I said the search engine grades a myriad of things upfront and regularly to determine where you're going to show up in search rankings. And it goes from the code base and the design to content, to regular changing content, to blogging and reviews and Google account work and even social media response.
And it should be noted that map ranking, since he's on that subject, is organic. That is a part of your
Yes.
organic ranking. Map ranking is not this separate, it might be a separate box when you're looking at the search result page, but it's not a separate box when it comes to SEO.
Right.
It's all part of the same thing. And your map ranking is dependent on what your website is doing. You have to have that Google My Business account set up properly and tended properly, but you also have to have a website tended properly.
I've said this before, but when we went to the last conference we went to, a girl stood up. Guy was basically selling review software.
Yeah, yeah.
Gosh damn well should have known. And I say, listen, we'll continue to go to conferences to better ourselves in our industry for digital marketing, but we probably used to went and learned 80% of stuff that was there, and nowadays we go and we're lucky to pick up 20% of what's there.
These days we sit smugly at the back and think, we've been doing that for a year.
Yeah, so, but we still learn stuff, so we go.
Yeah, we do.
So a girl raised her hand and said, I have a question. Why we've got a client who's getting a lot of reviews, but their map doesn't show up. And then the speaker stood up and said, well, that's blah, blah, blah. Don't know what I'm talking about.
Basically, he gave her a non-answer.
Yeah.
While trying to sound authoritative.
Yeah. If I was younger and not married, I would have gone over there and wowed her with my intelligence.
Well, I can help you with that.
Yeah, I didn't help her. It's okay. But anyway, she was pretty good looking. She's decent.
I don't
looking girl.
remember. I didn't see the person,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
She had one of those cute, quirky looks, you know.
Gotcha.
Web geeky, quirky. Anyhow, irrelevant.
Yes, it is.
Good content though, man. People like this
It
stuff.
is.
So they show up because I wished I'd been stood up and just said, by God, you're wrong.
It doesn't show up because their website's not
It
tended
doesn't show
properly,
up because
or their Google My Business page isn't done properly.
Yeah, or their code base is off, or they never work on it. Or you bastards that are charging them that should get them up don't know what the hell you're doing.
Right.
You know?
Especially that one.
So, yeah, when the clients, when you think you want stuff done, you need all these other things done. And so if I talk to somebody, it's like, well, you don't not want us to put in over 100 pieces of schema code in the content, do you? Which Google grades to help parcel data, which raises you in search rankings, or enter aggregate star ratings, or to regularly update your code base, or to regularly change content on pages, or to blog, or to do domain authority. Did you know your domain authority is of 6 and it may affect you, or whatever the case is?
Yeah.
People don't really come and say, I don't want to do 90% of the things I need. I just want you to do this narrow scope that I believe to be the thing. Now, I will say, when somebody comes at it like that, they've been looking around and they've heard one year that content is king, and another year that design needs to be done, another year that they need review program.
And another time backlinking.
Citations.
And unfortunately, the industry, or not the industry, but a lot of the people that you see talking about the industry, make it all sound very gimmicky. There's this one thing you have to do. There's this gimmick, and if you do that gimmick on your site, you get top search ranking. But the gimmicks only work if you do all of the gimmicks, and there's like 1,000 of them. That's
the point. So they sell the gimmick though because the client wants to pay their little $299 a month fee,
right?
Which is the most popular fee that people buy at,
right,
for search engine optimization services. But that little gimmick is only the citations platform. Or, we're going to list you with hundreds of directories that are legitimate across the nation. And once Google sees the brand authority go up and everybody's got you listed, it's magically going to go up to the top of search rankings. We're so good at it, it's awesome. You know, and then you're like, yeah, man, yeah.
And by the way, that $299 that he said is popular, we know it's popular, and we have struggled on more than one occasion and attempted to do the services we do at that level so that we could offer that, and we can't do it because we can't do the services necessary at that rate. It's
to get them to show up in search rankings. Yeah. So why pay that rate? Because you're literally throwing it. I call it a glorified hosting fee.
Yeah.
Which is another term I think I made up. Right?
It is. That's another
glorified hosting.
Glorified hosting fee.
I don't think it's like any not any keyword term that's going to make it into the Urban Dictionary. Or
you never know.
You never know.
We should look it up.
Yeah.
Look it up after we're done.
Who made up the word? A basketball player made up the word bling. That was
I don't even know.
Shaq.
Oh, was it?
Shaq made the word bling.
I did not know.
I don't think I'm on that level though.
No. Glorified hosting fee is not going to enter the popular idiom in the same way as bling.
That's a glorified hosting fee, fool. You ain't nothing more than a glorified hosting fee. Yeah, it ain't gonna work that way. You don't think it'll work?
No. We're not going to get much traction. I'm sorry to tell you. I'm sorry to have to lay that on you.
You're nothing more than Web Geek Cocky.
Yeah. That was our other podcast.
Yeah, I know.
That we did.
Anyway, so yeah, when you have this stuff and you pay $299, I call it a glorified hosting fee because they're not doing anything.
Because you're not paying them enough to do anything.
You're not paying them enough to do anything. They're not doing anything, and they don't need one thing. Because when a client looks at it, it's so one-dimensional. If most people, let me say this for the sake of saying this: 90% of people that call up here do not try to dictate what we're going to do in services.
Yeah. This isn't going out to most people.
And when the potential client calls and begins to dictate services, their chances of success are almost
become very low. Very low.
When they hear what needs to be done and what goes on, well, I'm not letting you have my website. I like it.
I paid a lot of money.
I paid a lot of money for it.
Your website is not a piece of real estate. It does not appreciate in value. It depreciates in value worse than a car. The minute you bought it, it's already out of date. So just be prepared to replace it. Yeah. You're better off not being attached to it.
And why do you care if it doesn't optimize or do anything for the company anyway?
Right.
Especially when we don't charge to get somebody started on a monthly.
We had a client recently who signed up with us and then changed his mind after like a week before we had done any work.
Yeah.
Changed his mind because his staff got on his case and was upset that he was replacing the website that they had worked on.
Yeah, it's robocolor. I'm going to see. Hello? Hello? Oh, well. I get so many SEO calls.
That almost could have been a treat, because watching Nolan mess with a robocollar is fun.
No, I didn't. No, if it was an SEO call, it would have been really fun to have on. Yeah. But your Google ranking's down. Do you want to pay to have it go back up? So those aren't Google calls, obviously.
No, that's not Google calls.
But by the way, that shapes the perception of what someone thinks they need done.
Yeah.
You know.
Because that's actually, I didn't make it back to the point earlier, but when I was talking about the gimmicky stuff, is people have been sold that idea so much that they think that that's what they need.
Right.
And so occasionally we get that issue.
So there's almost no high-end web agencies.
Right.
There's literally almost none that do the work properly. And even some of the ones that call you that are very well known are just high-end sales agencies that don't actually do the work.
Yeah.
And so it gets confusing, and then you wonder, well, how did this guy get up there, or how did that guy get up there? But it is a myriad of things done well that were graded up front and continually over the course of time.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes if you have some trust, or depending on how the algorithm is, whether you've been up long enough to establish trust with the search engines, which can be as little as 6 months nowadays.
Right.
They have eased up on that criteria recently.
We used to, if we had clients that hadn't had an active website for at least a year,
Yeah, a year.
we wouldn't even talk to them because there was no way we could make it work. New site was just,
It's changed.
it struggled. And I actually read an article, an interview with a Googler, an actual Google rep,
Okay.
in which he talked about the reduction in domain age.
Yeah.
That they came flat out and said, yeah, we've reduced that as a factor.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know you'd read that, but
it was this morning.
Okay.
So.
We've been talking about this a lot recently,
Yeah.
but we can take a client that has as little as 6 months presence and get them to top search rankings
Right,
quickly,
right.
depending on the market and what they're doing.
Right.
But they need to have a lot of stuff so show up. So to just show up takes a lot of work, and a lot of things need to be done. Bogus locations, we could talk about that. We could talk about a client wanting to optimize in every city except the one they're located in. And I do feel for them on that. Like here locally in Dallas-Fort Worth, there is a town called Haltom City that is full of warehouse space,
And light industrial stuff.
but
Yeah.
low income population.
Yeah.
And if you're in LA and stuff like that, or I don't know, if you're up in Colorado, some of these towns are expensive.
Yeah.
You might want to service Boulder, but who's going to go get a
Office space
location?
in Boulder is expensive again.
So you want there, but you can't get your address there. And so when I get a client on the phone and we talk about these situations, I don't know if empathy is the right word, because I don't know if I've ever actually had it happen to me, but I feel empathetic about it because I've dealt with so many clients with it.
Yeah.
So if we have a situation like that, you're going to show you, no matter what we say or do, for the address and map where it is. So we're going to help you optimize it, but it will show up there.
Yeah.
As far as getting another location, as long as it's legitimate, sure. But things that I don't do is client calls up and says, well, here, I'll tell you other stuff clients call up. I like you, Nolan. I've got this site, abcplumbingspectacular.com. I'm going to give you abcplumbingspectacular.com, ca.com. ABCD Plumbing Spectacular. There you go. A to Z Plumbing Spectacular. And I'll be like, okay, well, I'm sorry, we can't do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why not? Show me what you got. You scared? And I'm like, that's kind of, and I'm like, well, sir, that is, we have to optimize something that Google recognizes as a local business. It needs to have a legitimate address and legitimate.com. And one of the original Google Webmaster rules was that you can't have another website for the same service in the same market, because then some guy would put up 10 websites and try to control the entire...
Which they used to do.
Which they used
by
to do
the way.
all the time.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody remembers it at this point.
Yeah, it was a while back now, but...
Decade ago, 12 years ago,
Yeah.
especially, and before, one guy to have 5 of the top 10 search results. And what does it do? Makes Google a horrible place to go look for stuff.
Right.
So, yeah, in that case, there's certain things we just won't do it. It's like, well, I can't work on the website and have it show up in ranking if you give us this horrible code base design that's a template that has busted up, sloppy code, over bloated code, no schema, no semantic markup. It just doesn't work well.
Right.
So I've got to put up a website. You know why we started doing websites on month to month without charging a lot of money down?
Why?
You know why. He knows why. But
I do know why, but I'm trying to move the thing
Thank you
along.
for playing along.
You're destroying the illusion, Nolan.
I don't lie to people, man. Anyway, we started doing them because everybody out there gets cheap crap templates. Nobody. This is one of the reasons it all doesn't work, because they go like, well, I want to get up in the top of search ranking, but I'm not willing to pay jack crap for it. Like, you just make it happen. And the web companies are like, well, geez, man, we got to make a custom design, custom code base. It's like a $20,000 or $30,000 website. Well, what?
Yeah.
And then, so nobody pays for it.
Right.
I mean, nobody. Like, 1 out of 200 clients that we had would do it. 1 out of 100.
If that.
Well, if that.
And by the way, this makes me cry because I'm the original generation of web professionals. I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I remember when we got $1 million for a website.
So we have to, if I don't not charge for the website, then the client gets a cheap template like they always get. It does not have the proper code base in it and does not have as good of an ability to show up in search rankings.
Right.
So one of the other things I use as an analogy is like, Mr. Client, if you had a website up with great content but really poor quality design and code base, do you think Google would like that as well as somebody had great code base design and content? And then what if somebody else did their Google account better?
Right.
Set that up. What if somebody else did citations and domain authority? What if the other guy worked on it regularly like they were supposed to? Did you know they go back and look at everything and regrade you daily? At least weekly.
That's the thing. You might put a site up and only do 25% of what you have to do, and at first it seems like it's working fine, but then when one of your competitors hires somebody like us and looks at the competition for their client and says, oh, we got to do better than this guy, and goes up higher, they're going to beat you out.
Yeah.
So you need to do everything you can do.
Not going to beat us out, Jason.
Well, no. In that hypothetical,
Once
we're the
you've
ones
made
that
it
are
to the
beating
top,
somebody.
Once you are at the top echelon, then you just fall down from there. Sorry.
Okay, I think that might have sent the wrong message.
Is that wrong?
But yeah.
All right. Oh,
Once you're with us, there's nowhere to go but down.
that was that web geek
no.
cocky. We're not web geek cocky here. I was joking about it. We are one of the finest in the country, though.
We are.
Okay,
If
so
we do say so.
The analogy, I like to look at the horse, the torso and body of that horse is the content and everything in it, and maybe stuff like plugins and schema code and reviews and all that. And then the legs of the horse, there's all these little things going regularly.
Right.
And then we're the jockey manager that built it. Shoot the jockey manager, the horse doesn't run as fast, stops running. Your job is to get it going as fast as possible and get up in ranking for as many keywords as possible.
Right.
Algorithm really doesn't hold you back much anymore since they've lowered some of the tenure rates.
Yeah, yeah. They're actually honoring
Quality work.
Quality work
Yeah.
and quality effort more than ever now.
More than they ever have, yeah. So you can actually fight against these people. And that's another thing too, is like, there's this preconceived notions. I don't know why we as human beings do this to ourselves, whether it's a contractor talking about they can't do this or that, or it's somebody talking about they can't do whatever dream they have or whatever they want to do. There is no much magic from our perspective, at least with quality web work and a quality crew, to whoever stands in between you showing up in search ranking.
Right.
The only difference is that the client, your competitor got savvy and paid to have a little bit of work done and maybe did a little work themselves and paid for some leads and did some social stuff and did other things.
Right.
The only difference. And it costs less than you think it does to have it done well. We were talking about this before this, which we can't repeat some of the stuff that I said, but which is normal for this stuff. But yeah, I mean, if it were me, and it is me, I didn't go upgrade standards of living for any purpose whatsoever before I had enough money to invest back in my business, and business is that I had to get me to this point in life.
Right.
But most people, even on their own business, will spend their money and then not invest in their marketing. I mean, obviously the marketing is the number one thing that we don't skimp on around here.
Right.
And guys,
everything that we ever try to get you guys to do is something we're doing ourselves. We don't ever try to sell one of our clients on any kind of marketing, advertising channel, anything that we don't do ourselves.
That we didn't do successfully.
Yeah, if we didn't do it and have it work, we don't try to get anybody else to do it.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, that is very much true. So everything that is sold here is stuff that we actively participate in right now. We're constantly changing it and working on it to better it. And I think every time I look around, it's the finest work we've ever done.
Yeah,
because
we feel like we're constantly upping our game.
It's constantly upped. We just did some new stuff on home pages that is going to be very successful for all the clients.
We recently, our social media person back there came to me one day and said, hey, I'm noticing running some of our Facebook advertising these days, we're getting better response.
Yeah.
I said, well, okay, let's put all the budget on those days and give it a try this week.
The stuff that we personally spend for ourselves.
Yeah. This is the money we spent for our company to do.
And we're testing
it turns
now.
out we're testing it now, and it looks like we're getting better response on that. And we'll do the same thing for our clients. We'll use all that knowledge that we spend a lot of money learning and then passing that knowledge on to our clients.
We're close to $20,000 a month in our
Something
own
like
personal
that.
expenditures.
Yeah.
But that's another thing too. Like, I don't get it. I never have gotten it. It's one thing. I wasn't like I said, I wish I'd, well, this was a different one. I'm sorry. I'm getting my videos crossed over here. But
we make too many of these in a day.
Anyway, I wish that I'd learned this stuff earlier, about how and where to focus and spend money. But now I clearly understand it on a daily basis. I wake up, and Jason, I'm a broken record on, but it's a fun subject though,
Yeah.
We fight hard for our ranking. We fight for our clients' ranking. We don't want anybody to beat us. And for me, everything is marketing goggles. Everything. How can we get leads? How can we get exposure? And if you're not thinking that as a business, you're just not going to do as well. The guys above you that beat you thought better. They were more positive about it. They didn't negative self-talk, BS, not true narratives into their head about why they couldn't do it. They just got up and did it, So some of those guys just because they've been up there. In fact, for me, most of the people at the top of search ranking, especially in the contractor field, for most markets that you look at, are ripe for having their butts whooped.
Yeah.
Because they're getting old if they're up there by now in the SEO days, and they're not working on their web presence. Almost nobody picks up the phone. I was shocked by this. Because I was talking to some people that we've got to start helping us with some of this stuff, and I was talking to the guy, and I'm like, you know what? It dawned on me, and I hadn't thought about it in years. The amount of people that have done quality web work to their own company's website is still almost non-existent percentage-wise.
Right.
You're talking like less than 5% of legitimate businesses in major markets. Probably, and if you talk about the best ones, it's 1% or less.
Right.
And
Are you talking about people who are like trying to do everything internally?
I'm talking about a business owner that has invested in their marketing web presence.
Gotcha. Okay.
Their design, their content, their regular work, their social effort, their paid ads, their review integration, everything combined. There's almost nobody doing high quality web work that they've chosen to pay for their company, when it is the only way they're ever going to make any money and realize the dreams that they had for the reason for starting the company.
Yeah. Well, call after call you get from potential clients, we see over and over the same parts, the same things neglected, the same stuff not done,
which kind of goes
at all or right.
What we do versus what the client thinks we should do or wants us to do. It's this thought process about what they think. Because in reality, if everybody had this really down well, there's not school for this stuff. I think you have to go to I don't know. I've never been to an Ivy League school, but I would assume they teach this sort of mentality on stuff. They drill it in your head, but in regular school, I know they don't in regular college. And so somebody'd have to sit you down and shake you and smack you and say, hey, look, son, if you don't get marketing right, if you can't figure out that it's all about human connection and getting found and getting a lead to a sale, then you're just not going to make any money in this world.
Right.
You're not.
If nobody knows you exist, it doesn't matter how much of an expert or how good you are at your job.
By now, people should know that, though.
But they don't.
But they don't.
They don't.
I think it takes. I know it takes time, because for me, I do still have some basic thoughts that hit me. It's like, oh, that's so simple. But I didn't realize I was doing that to myself.
Yeah.
Jason hears me talk about it all the time, but I got a business coach, and I got a business coach. I told you why. This is funny stuff, I guess. My wife was talking to me, and she said, "You should get a business coach." And I said, "Why?" And she's like, "Because you don't listen to anyone anymore." I said, I do.
Truth.
He
has gotten much better.
We collaborate.
We
do. But I don't listen to most people.
Yeah.
who are you going to listen to when you've done this for so long? It's not like I'm cocky about it, but I'm like, people can't come up and like learn me very well.
Yeah.
You know, they need to do what I say and keep their mouth shut, you know, for the most part, and learn something, you know. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, that attitude's not the best one in the world for learning. So,
That's the attitude you should have with your employees, somewhat.
early on.
Yeah. But it is not the attitude you should have with
Life in
the
general.
professional you hire for services.
Yeah. So I got this guy set up, and he'll describe to me. I guess the reason I did it is because I've done so many success books and courses, and I've read everything there is, but I wasn't progressing like I wanted to. And since we've done this, we've had really cool stuff happen.
We've had a good flow of ideas, and
Yeah.
and not just ideas, but we always had a good flow of ideas, but we've gotten much better in our action.
He's brought to my attention basic conceptual things that are obvious, but you don't think about it or change how you function until it's brought to your attention.
Right.
So what I'd like for this to bring to somebody's attention is how vitally important it is to have a marketing-centric thought process. And somebody thinking like this would be more questioning of professionals and say, what can we do? Let me find the best people we can find in order to propel my business so that I can live the dreams I wanted to live, which I had when I started this business, instead of just eking out an existence in this rat race that we're all in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that mentality is the proper one to have.
It's like if a potential client comes to us and they say, well, we want you guys to structure our site this way, and we know that that is not what Google wants to see, and that will not optimize.
Well, we'll tell them.
And we tell them that.
Yeah.
And then they insist. There's a point at which they should think about what they're saying, because we're not trying to sell them on a higher level of service. We're not saying,
no, we're not.
We're not going to do that, but we want to do this thing that you pay more for, because it's the same price. So they should ask themselves, why are we saying that? And we're saying that because we want it to work, because we want to keep the client and get paid ourselves.
Yeah, and I think I'm past that in this call now, but I want to in this conversation now, because we're past that concept. The client, I want to say something else. The potential client, we actually will tell someone what's needed, even if we lose the client, which I would call integrity.
Yeah.
Business.
Yeah, we don't take on clients that we can't.
So
either because of the situation they're in, or because of their own insistence, whatever it is. We won't take on a client that we can't do. We can't perform for them.
One of the reasons we won't, and you know this, is because since we're collecting the first month and month to month, you got no financial incentive to seeing somebody fail and quit paying in 6 months.
Right.
And so, but one of the biggest point I want to make here on this is that almost every company you call, oh yes sir, we'll do that. They'll give you whatever you want. I have people all the time. I had a guy yesterday on the phone, and this was a sad one. He was a contractor. I don't remember where. Doesn't matter. He's in a good town of no, it was Tucson, Arizona. He's a plumber.
Okay.
And the guy called up, and this is too much. I feel bad telling the story, but I don't use his name or anything. But he had confided to me in the call that wife had left him, take the kids and the dog, because he hadn't made any money in so long. But he used to make better money, but he wasn't optimized as well now. He'd paid to get the website done. And and again, you know, and I'm not saying that we're smarter than somebody. I'm not saying I'm smarter than somebody for this. I've done all this stuff.
The only reason we sound like we think we're smarter is because we've already made that mistake.
Yeah, I've already made the mistake. So, but the guy, there's nothing wrong with that the guy had his website redone.
Right.
And I said to the guy, he called up and he said, I want to get pay-per-click management. I said, we can do that for sure. Have somebody else call you about it. I said, can we talk about your organic? And he said, yeah, sure, we'll talk about it. And his website was like over 10 years old. He had some reviews, but he didn't show up anywhere. The website had just been redone. It looked awful. But he told someone what to do. So he told them to go get a website, and he'd heard that would help. So he had them go do that, and about 30 minutes into it, and he told me the story. He said, I just need to get leads now. I said, well, pay-per-click's great for that, and I'm not going to say you shouldn't do that. I'm just saying that this is such an opportunity here because you have an aged Google account that's really old. You have a really old web presence, and this website's really horrible. You know, it doesn't have any content. It looks like a really cheap old template. He said, I just had it done a few weeks ago. Oh. And so he had paid money, and I said, I forgot his name, and I wouldn't mention it out loud anyway, but I said, sir, how much did you pay for it, if you don't mind my asking? And he said, well, I'm just embarrassed, and I don't want to talk about it. And I said, well, I'll send you an email if you'd like to see some happy clients and some examples of what we do. He said, well, I'll just look up some stuff you said. I don't do emails. So that doesn't happen much anymore, but he didn't want to do emails.
Okay.
I'll say this too, like if you're not willing to change, so this same guy that told me that he'd lost his whole family because he hadn't done much, wasn't willing to get an email from me, didn't have an email.
That is very sad.
And at the end of the day,
it's heartbreaking. Actually.
It was sad, and at the end of the day, I said, sir, you're going to spend so much more than our monthly fee on paying for clicks that it's really, he said, well, I need leads today. And I'm like, okay, fine. And I went through it with him. He said, I just don't think I want to do that right now because it's going to take us 30 days to build a website.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. I said, finally I got off the phone with him. And I guess at the end of the call, I'm like, I'm not even going to call him back. I gave it over to somebody else to call.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going to call him back because he's in such a place and state in his mind that he wouldn't be able to make it. He appears to be financially unstable, and he worked himself into the situation, but he has every tool there to be able to be dominant in the marketplace.
Right.
And it was, and
I know we made mention that the age of the domain is less of a ranking factor, but it is still a ranking factor.
It is still a ranking factor. He had all this stuff ready to go.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we have people that we get a dozen leads a week with a brand new .com within a few months. That happens. Yeah. But this guy was just poised and ready to do something.
Yeah, but someone with a 10-year-old domain, that's going to happen even faster.
Something had possessed him to call, so he was like clicking and starting to think about what he needed to do, which was obviously probably the devastating thing that just happened to him.
Yeah.
But he wasn't willing to listen to anything, and he was so scared of web people and stuff. And I'm like, and he was acting. So basically, what I was trying to tell him was, I said, look, if you're about to spend $1,000 or a couple $1,000s a month on pay-per-click, we're not anywhere near that to do this great work that's going to be a better return. And then I started, and I'm like, what'd you pay for that? And he said he didn't want to tell me. And what I was trying to get at I was going to kind of reprimand him slightly that you got what you paid for.
Yeah.
You got what you paid for. I said, you can't go up into a market that big and put up a website like that and then complain at that guy for not getting you up there when you didn't put anything into it, but you're about to pay for all this other stuff. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You know.
We see that a lot, though.
But
we see a lot of people willing to put more money into pay-per-click than they are into other stuff. And it's not that pay-per-click doesn't work. It does, but it's expensive.
And there's a better return. There's an order in which to do stuff to maximize your profit for the company.
Which we have gone over in other podcasts.
Yeah, we have. We should. That's a good one, actually. I don't know if we've done it specifically like that.
Yeah.
We should.
I think we did it once a while back. We should refresh it and do an update.
Well, that was a good one. Got anything else?
I think I'm good. We rambled a bit. We got kind of philosophical today.
It was good. It was good.
We had fun.
All right. See you later.
Take it easy.